What happens when water is exposed to EMF, or wireless radiation? Here's something you may not know. Water is conscious and it responds vibrationally to whatever it is exposed to. At Omnia, we've done an experiment where we froze and photographed 3 samples of water. Water which was not exposed to EMF radiation, the baseline, looked like this. Water which was exposed to an EMF field, a 5G radiation field in fact, looked like this. And water which was exposed to EMF that is balanced by the Omnia radiation balancer looked like this. See the difference? Remember, your body is 70% water. And here's a special offer for the Journey to Truth crowd. Just enter the word truth in caps at the checkout for your 10% discount.
That's no moon. It's a space station.
But tonight we are joined by Nancy Thames. So she has incredible experiences, ET experiences. She's a former Department of Defense employee, which I don't know if that's relevant or not, but I'm going to ask her more about it. And we're just going to have an amazing conversation today about kind of what's going on, some of the alien agendas and misconceptions, and have her tell us and share some of her experiences with us. So welcome to the show, Nancy.
Thank you. I'm proud to be here.
Yes, yeah. We're very glad to have you
here.
Glad
to have you. Thank you.
Yeah.
So this has been a long road for you. You started having experiences as a young child, right?
Yeah, my first conscious memories are around 2 and 3 years old, and so it's I'm a lifelong contactee with interdimensional and positive extraterrestrials, and the reason why I emphasize positive is because I have figured out throughout the years that other people were having experiences, but theirs were quite different than mine. So there is a big difference between people that call themselves abductees and people like me who are contactees.
Right. Yeah. There's a huge difference. So you were never taken without your consent, is what you're
Absolutely.
saying.
Yeah. I was always, like I said, this has been happening all my life. So through a process, these things, it didn't happen overnight to understand any of this. And it did not happen overnight that for me to get to a spiritual understanding and just the understanding of the purpose of it. There was a lot of times, especially during my teenage years, where I began to get scared because of reading what other people were saying. And the simple fact that this was something that you could not discuss out in public around other family members or in school or just basically anywhere. I grew up in Tennessee and now I live in Mississippi, and this is kind of the Bible Belt of the South. And these are not topics that go over very well. You get a lot of eye rolling and, mumbly things under the breath type thing. So I learned very young to suppress this. And that was not an easy thing to do, but I did do it. And so I've had good and I've had bad, but basically through it all, as I got older and had a better understanding and with more conscious time that they allowed me and were patient with me. And now I have a full understanding of the whole purpose and the differences. So we can, I'm sure if y'all want to ask me anything, you're more than welcome to. So we can start from there, or I can just start from the beginning of it if you want me to.
Well, we'll just kind of jump around because I do have some questions. So you said there's a difference between, I heard on a previous interview, you talked about the lower rim extraterrestrials. Yes. And I never heard anyone define it in that way. It makes sense to me, your explanation, but for our audience, can you explain the difference between what you call the lower rim extraterrestrials and then the interdimensionals or extra dimensionals?
Yes. I consider them interdimensionals, but the reason I say that is because interdimensionals, they come from different dimensions. We're in a 3D world and we only see what's in our vision line of being in a 3D world. And a lot of the lower rim extraterrestrials actually are within our galaxy. So I consider them a lower rim because they're not dimensional. They're like in our galaxy. We don't see them either because they're far away or because they can be they can actually be dimensional, but not like the interdimensional. So,
Or just
because
cloak themselves, right?
say
Or just cloaking technology too.
they can be invisible, absolutely. I've seen them do that, and even with their craft or individually, they can appear invisible. They can do so many different things. But the reason I say lower rim is because one reason why human beings are very unique, and one thing that the interdimensional and positive extraterrestrials love about us is because they look at us like children and they see that we have lots of DNA capabilities that have never really been activated. And they also know that when we finally join together as one, we're pretty much unstoppable. So there's been a lot of negative lower rim extraterrestrials that have worked with different fractions of government, different elites, and different groups that want to keep humanity separated, for one, and also to keep us dumbed down so that we never reach higher consciousness, and so that we never learn our place within the universe, and that we are part of the cosmic realm above us, and that we are descendants of extraterrestrials. So by keeping us separated, that's what they've always done. And this has been going on for eons and eons. And they've always known that at some point this was going to happen. But as long as they could, they were playing around like the little commanders over us and manipulating us around like little puppets, keeping us dependent upon fossil fuels, having pharmaceutical companies make all these medications. And a lot of times these medications and stuff are not even compatible with our metabolisms. And also keeping all of our foods, our air, and our water, everything has toxins and chemicals in it. And all these things were done to keep us dumbed down and keep us at a lower mentality and not reaching higher consciousness. So, but now we are reaching higher consciousness. We are moving from our 3D world into fourth dimension. And when the interdimensional and positive extraterrestrials saw that humanity's consciousness was raising, they came into our solar system and through our galaxies in big motherships and came in big numbers. And they pretty much told these lower rim extraterrestrials that have stepped over the boundaries of the cosmic realm of understanding that human beings are here on free will. They overstepped that boundary, and that would be one race of grays. And there are many, many different races of grays, of different heights, different colors, many, many different races. But one race decided they wanted to come down and tinker with humanity. And they worked with some fractions of government and some elites. And they came down, and when they decided to do that, they broke off from the rest of the grays. So they were grays have a collective hive mind consciousness. So when they elected to overstep the boundaries and go over the boundary of not leaving us alone, they were excommunicated by the interdimensionals and the positive extraterrestrials. So they are not part of the collective consciousness of all the positives or the interdimensionals because of what they did. Now, this does not mean, and I call them negative, but this does not mean they are not demonic. They are basically self-serving. They only think about themselves. They came here, they did what they wanted to do, and they could care less about how it affected a human or how a human, anything about it. They didn't care. They were self-serving. And so they have no empathy for human beings, and they did not care where the other ones would not overstep those boundaries because they're not supposed to, for one, and they do care what we think. So when they got here in great numbers, they told these, was a group of reptilians and a group of grays to leave humanity alone. So if you look through your research and stuff, you'll pretty much see that most abductions and things were from the past. They have not been occurring in the last at least 5 years or something like that. Yeah.
Right.
And
Well, that aligns with a lot of stuff I've been reading about, especially like the Dulce base and stuff that happened there. Um, so the whole reason for the Dulce Wars, if you guys know about that, Dulce,
yeah,
um, New
Mhm.
Mexico or Nevada, New Mexico, right?
New Mexico.
New Mexico, yeah.
New
Jeez.
Mexico.
So the way it was described is that there's like what 8 levels or something below the ground, and the bottom 4 levels, our military, our government didn't even have access to. So
Yeah.
the ETs along these grays, along with apparently these Nordics, there was like a certain Nordic group with them, but they had built out and they were doing things, and they were supposed to be. They basically lied to us about what they were doing in the lower 4 floors until there was like some kind of reconnaissance mission, and
right.
they discovered all these catacombs of just human skeletons underneath the Dulce base. That it was like an offshoot of the subglobal tunnel system, and then they infiltrated and realized all the genetic experimenting they were doing on humans. They didn't realize the magnitude of it. They knew that they were doing some of it, but they didn't understand the magnitude. And when we found out, that's when the war started. But you're 100% right. Like that's primarily what they were doing. I mean, abducting
They're
us
self-serving.
in far greater numbers. Well,
Yeah.
they described them more like a drone, like there was no emotion to these particular grays. Like they didn't feel anything. So to them, it was just basically we were just like a product, you know?
Yeah. Well, they're biological. I have been around lots of grays. And there's 3 grays that always come for me to take me to craft or wherever they want me to be. And they are reddish brown, and one is a female, and she is bonded to me. And she's always, since I was born, she always is the one that comes to get me and takes me to craft. And what happened, or what she is she's biological, but she comes across as being very robotic because she's task oriented. She has no emotions. And when she's telepathic with me, it's pretty cut and dry. There's no inflection. There's no emotion. I mean, they are just very task oriented. But she was created by the tall grays and the interdimensionals, and they designed her and these other 2 with her that they don't even communicate with me, to be honest. They're just there. They always travel in threes, and I guess they're like protection, or I don't really know. But anyway, so they created her because the extraterrestrials and the interdimensionals have a hard time with the density on Earth. They have that they can do it, but they don't particularly like it. So they created her and changed her DNA so that she can do the back and forth. So she basically just does all the legwork, and she's here on task. So when they're here on task, there is no negotiating. There's no even if, for example, if my son is with me and I see him waking up because he's aware of their presence, just as I am, because he is an experiencer too. And they will not allow us to go on craft or have our experience exactly together. We could have it in the same night, but we do not travel by the same. We have different escorts that do this, and they keep us separated mostly because of the mother-son bond and connection. Because if I'm worried about how he's feeling and how what he's doing, then I lose focus of the whole purpose of of my experience with them, or my lesson or visitation, however you want to term this, and vice versa. So if they come for him and I wake up, because I'm so aware of when they're near, I know before they even get here that they're coming, and I'll raise up in the bed and start looking, and then they'll walk up to me and press me down in the bed and tell me telepathically, this is not about you. And now I understand it. But when I saw my two boys taken for the first time when they were very young, they put me in a sleep paralysis. And this was not the three that come from me. These were three totally different grays. And they were about 3 foot tall, and they were gray color. And when I raised up, one of them approached me and pressed me down and said, this is not about you. And then because I saw them walking over towards my children, they sensed my anxiety and they put me in sleep paralysis. So I watched it from the corner of my eye, but I could not speak. I could not move. I could not do anything. And I was very, very upset. And for a long time, I was angry and upset, and I did not understand why they do things that they do. But now I'm older and I've been around it so much that I understand they were actually doing me a favor. One, they do not have the same kind of emotions that we have, and they don't understand it. And whatever we feel, they feel it tenfold, because they feel everything we feel. So rather than deal with it, they'll touch you and put you in a trance-like state where you're fully functional, but you cannot speak, you cannot do certain things. Or they can put you in a functional state to where you're just kind of like in a sedated state, but you're not on medication, but they can do this to you. They can do a lot of different things, but I understand now, because they don't understand these feelings. So it's easier for them to put us in a relaxed state. The only problem with that is when you get back and wake up, you have fragmented memories, where if you're fully conscious, if you can go without the anxiety and all that stuff, then you can have the full experience. So, and they were doing me a favor. They could have easily taken my children and I would have never known it. And they could have, they could have done it differently, but the way they did it, I understand now, because I even now, when my son and I, if we're in the same place, I can't help it. I worry about whether, why can't he go? But now I understand why. They're just not going to do that, because they don't want to deal with the issues of a mother and a son.
Now, the Grays, go ahead, Aaron.
I was just going to say, can you reiterate what exactly were they doing again? You keep saying, I understand why they did it. What were they doing exactly?
Oh, they came to get us, to take us on to craft, to have our experience. And when we have our experience, for one, they're checking on us, our well-being. They're checking our health. They're checking our mentality. They're checking our consciousness level, checking to see how we're progressing, and just all kinds of different things. So if we have a health problem, they'll fix it. If we have questions, a lot of times they'll answer questions. They pretty much know, even before we get there, things that we want to know. And I meditate and communicate with them every single night. So everything usually gets addressed. It may not happen immediately or anything like that, because I don't sit around and pretend and say that I could call them. They're not sitting up there waiting on somebody just to say, hey, come do this, come do that. That's not the way they operate, or the universe operates.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So the Grays that show up in your house, in your room,
Yes.
they're just the ones that are coming to transport you to the craft. But once you're on the craft, do you see other beings?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I see the interdimensionals, which are 7 to 8 foot tall. They are humanoids, but they are definitely not human beings. They have some similar human features, but they are not humans. And the tall grays, they have a lot more personality than these hybrids that do the legwork. When they communicate to me, or any of these humanoids, any of them, when they communicate, it's always telepathic. But I can sense male or female, and I can also sense inflection in their voice. In other words, if they're trying to be a little humorous, I can sense that. Or if they're trying to be matter of fact, like making a point, I can sense that by the different tones in the way that it's presented to me. But now that the female gray, the hybrid that's down here doing the legwork, when she talks to me, I hear it, but I don't hear like male or female. I just know by her vibrational frequency, and I know by my bond with her, and I have a love for all of them, and I have a very deep loving bond, and I know that she's female.
Mm.
So
Interesting.
would these be like your star family essentially that goes beyond this lifetime? Is that why
Well,
they're connected
uh,
to you?
well, after I saw my children taken, and I was very upset, and I had this happened at Key West on a vacation away from home. And we were staying at a Marriott on the beach, and that's where this all happened. So the next morning, my children did not recall any of this. So I didn't say anything more because they were fine. No harm had been done. And either they didn't want to talk about it, or either they thought it was a dream, or either they simply took that memory away from them. So anyway, when I got back home, then I sat down and started meditating and asked for face-to-face contact and information. I wanted to know why this was happening. What was the purpose of this? Why? Why was this happening to me? Why was this happening to my children? So after I meditated, I went to bed, and later on that night, the grace came for me, and they took me on craft, and they took me before what they called a group of elders. And these elders were interdimensional beings, and there was a whole bunch of them. I couldn't tell you how many, but I was in the center, and they were like all around me, and they were called a council. And I asked them, why me? Why is this happening to me? And they basically, what they told me was that I had made a decision before being born as a human being to be here, to come here and be here at this particular time. And everything at that point could not be explained to me because we were nowhere close. I was in my 20s, and at that point, humanity was nowhere close to even thinking of disclosure. So they
Right.
told me that I had made an agreement to come here, and that it was my choice. And I told them that I did not remember any of that. And they showed me a vision of myself being in a etheric being, sitting and waiting, and the communication of them with me, explaining that I was fixing to go into my human experience, and that when I woke up, it would be many, many years before I saw them, and I would not remember any of this, but that they would be visiting me throughout my life and helping me to recall and remember these things. And that's basically what happened. So later on, I well, about a year and a year ago, something like that, they gave me a Kundalini awakening. And when that happened, I did not know what that was at all. And it scared me to death. But I later found out what it was. And what they were doing was opening my subconscious up into my human consciousness. So I found out that I was an extraterrestrial. I was an interdimensional being. And so were my children before we came here, and we made a choice to come here and be a part of this big event. And basically, all of us made a choice to be here at this time. because this is the biggest thing that's ever happened to human beings since the beginning of time. So, so that's basically what they explained to me, is that this is a pivotal moment for humanity, and certain ones of us have chose to be here and be a part of it.
Yeah, I agree
Yep.
wholeheartedly
I
with that.
100% agree as well. Yep, you're spot on.
So you mentioned the people, they took you up the top of a mountaintop and you saw the people of the clouds, is what you called them.
Oh, I went they back in September. My son and I, my son they gave him some downloads and told him that we were to go to Mexico. And then they also came to me in some dreams and they wanted us to go to Mexico. So he bought us tickets and we got down there. And from the minute that we started the trip, this mother-son trip, we saw them every single night. They came to us. And again, that's how we learned that the three that come for him, and they were not the three little ones that I had saw when my two sons were little. These were different. But we figured out they're never going to let us have our experiences together. So they talk about him to me, they talk about me to him, but they will not put us in the same thing. But basically what they wanted us to go there for is we got to Mexico City, and then we took a short flight over to Oaxaca, however, my Spanish is not good at all. But anyway, so we rode a shuttle bus up 3 hours up into the mountains, and it was very primitive and was very cold, and nobody spoke English, and it was no internet, few people had telephones, and you had to find a hot spot. Anyway, basically, it was also called the people of the clouds, because the Zapotecs are an indigenous tribe, and they go back, their lineage goes back as far as the Incas and Mayas, and they're indigenous to Mexico. And this is on the Pacific side, on the southernmost state of Mexico. So when we got up there, it was the most eco-friendly place I'd ever seen in my life. These people, some of them had electricity, many did not. But the ones that even had electricity, they collected rainwater. They had no running water other than the rain collectors. And they did not have appliances. They cooked outside. They didn't have, all the fancy things or anything. They were very eco-friendly. So basically, they wanted us to experience it. So when they came for me, I walked outside our cabin and they took their hands out and said, "Everything is alive. Everything is alive." And they was pointing at trees and plants. And they were telling me that our planet Earth is a living being and has a consciousness. Our plants and our trees, everything is alive and is a living being and has a consciousness, and that trees communicate, plants communicate. And their consciousness is not exactly like the human consciousness, but they communicate. And the reason why we can't see this is because we're in a 3D world. But as we reach higher consciousness and reach the fourth dimension on up, these things we will start to see these things. And they also explained to me that the fourth dimension and these things are not physical places. These are higher consciousness. So, and that is the goal, is for us to reach higher consciousness and become more intelligent and realize that our world around us is changing, including our planet. She's going through her own ascension and she's changing and becoming higher consciousness herself. So they wanted us to understand that they love us, but we're just a very small part of what they love about our planet Earth. They see her as a living being and a consciousness, and they see everything on it. So when we start playing with weapons of mass destruction, nuclear weapons, we are messing with everything on this planet. It disrupts the balance of nature. It disrupts our planet. It trickles into the universe, disrupts the universe, because we are all one.
Right.
We are to be connected. We are all one. And what happens to us and what we do affects everything around us. We have forgot our connection to all things on our planet, including our planet. We've lost our connection long ago. And a lot of indigenous tribes and stuff have always known their connection to the planet and to the nature and the world around us. So that was another reason they wanted to see the Zapotecs, is because they were on the verge of ascension, and it fell through because their younger generations got more interested in materialistic things and technology. So they abandoned their own people and left them there. And they are now a dying race and they were a beautiful race, eco-friendly, and was just on the verge of reaching their own higher consciousness, like some of the other indigenous tribes that have done, but it just fell through. So I guess they wanted us to see the impact that technology has to be used in the proper way. It is a man-made tool. Keep it as a man-made tool. And that if we would use it properly and use it to benefit all of humanity, not just a select group of people, but
Right.
use it in the right way and us keep control over it because it is a tool that we designed, use our intelligence and be in charge, that it can be a beautiful thing, but not if we let the wrong people or just certain people take over and run wild with it. So basically, they're just waiting for us to wake up and realize who we are, because we have so many abilities and we can become so much greater by simply becoming higher consciousness. And these things will start to activate, and realizing that these old ways of living no longer serve us. We do not need to be lied to about our heritage. We need to know our heritage. We all have a little bit of extraterrestrial in us. That's what the junk DNA is. And we need to know about our planet. A lot of things we don't know all the real things about our planet and all the civilizations that have been here. There's so many things that we don't know, but we are going to learn, and we're going to wake up, and we're going to learn. And these things won't happen overnight, but we'll learn through patience and time and higher consciousness. We will learn how to outgrow these old ways. There'll be no more wars. There'll be no more diseases, no more anything that no longer serves us, because we'll simply outgrow it. There will be no need for these things, and we'll become better, more positive human beings. And they're not here to take over or control. They're here to sit and watch and assist.
Yeah, well, that was beautifully said. And it seems like you
Very
got
well
quite the download from having that experience. It was very beneficial. And it's
Yes.
really interesting that it gives you a new perspective, because you can see what you get. Not, they don't just tell you, right? You get to see the results of what happens whenever you let this technology creep in and take
Yes.
over.
Yes.
Yeah,
It's
that was
amazing. They're like I say, they know this cannot happen overnight, but they are very patient, and they know how to do these things so that it's not going to be like where you look at night and day or black and white. These things, the way they explained it to me, is that these things will, like, it's like a butterfly coming out of the cocoon. It comes out slowly and works its way to gain its physical strength so that it can fly away. And that's basically what we're doing. We are coming more conscious and alive, and we're climbing out of our little shells and realizing our place and our connection with our planet and also the universe and our place in the cosmic realm, because we're all connected. And by the time we finally get to all that, it'll seem like it's always been that way. It's never going to just be like black and, you know what I mean? It's a slow, everything is done with intention and design. Just like when we look at shells or we look at our bodies, how they were made. All these things were done very, very with real intention and pure design. So it will be the same way
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
Yeah, absolutely.
it's very apparent that it's not going to happen overnight. And
Right.
what's interesting is like whenever I first woke up, right, and got into all this stuff, you always hear all these messages and channeled messages saying soon, soon. But then, 5 years later, you're like, okay, soon doesn't mean soon like we think it does. Um, so at first it's always exciting and you think it's going to happen now, but you realize like there's a lesson in this. Like there's patience. We have to take a step back and start working on ourselves and
Yeah,
getting our shit together, and,
exactly.
and instead of stop, we can't just want everybody else to do everything for us and disclose everything for us. So I love your message. I think it's absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. It's about us looking inside, finding out who we are, not what the world around us has created. I'm Nancy on the outside, but what they've taught me is to look within, the Nancy on the inside, our higher selves, our subconscious that knows all these things. So you look within and remember, and a lot of this stuff we already know.
Hmm.
They've always told me you already know. And they told me this is the way it is with humanity. We already know. We just have to like remember. And then what it is it's spiritual growth, not choosing a specific religion. I'm talking about spiritually becoming more conscious about who we are in our place and learning what we can become, and we can walk away from these negative things. And
Right.
it's amazing to me. I mean, they showed me how it all works. And and I know it sounds out there, but it is beautiful. It is so beautiful. And it's patience, like you said, keeping patience. But we have to work at being better, learning to be more positive, walking away from negative things, walking away from the TV if it's negative, learning to refuse to have those things in our life.
Right.
It's a new way of thinking and a new way of learning to live, basically.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
It's like rising above like all the political and religious,
Yes.
like those are almost programs,
They are.
They
They were
are.
done
politics and
intentionally.
religion. And it's about like rising above and breaking free from that and understanding there's so much more. And those are all in place almost. Maybe they can be used as like an evolutionary stepping stone, to pull us from a
Mhm.
lower level of consciousness out. But then it's exactly that, just a stepping stone.
Except
And
they're
Well,
designed to keep you enslaved and keep you in the
well,
box.
all
They're
those things
designed.
were done intentionally
Mhm.
to keep us dumbed down
right,
and keep us at a lower consciousness. But as we become more positive and we become more united, then this spreads all over humanity, and they cannot stop us.
right.
It will not stop.
What's really interesting, you
Exactly.
said they say that we already know all this stuff and
Yes,
we're just remembering. I can't even begin to tell you, like just researching and doing what we do and my own awakening, the information that I come across, it should be shocking to me. But I know at a soul level that I already know this. And when I read stuff and I'm learning about it, I'm actually not learning about it. I'm just remembering it. And that's why it's so easy for me to digest because some part of me knows all this stuff already.
exactly.
Not
And
like
it
every
feels
little,
good.
right.
It
Not like every little detail, but you
Mhm.
like somebody can lay a concept in front of you and like part of you already understands it very in depth, but you might not understand the intricate details, but somehow you can feel that it's true, and it's really interesting. It's like I remember that. That's why
Yeah,
that's when something resonates. I think that's what it is. It's like a remembrance.
We're
it
moving
is.
from beliefs to knowing because beliefs, you can believe all kinds of lies and you just believe that it's true because it feels good to you to believe it or you're programmed to believe it. It doesn't make it true, right? Just because you believe something really strongly. And we're moving away from that to, at a deep, deep level. You just know truth at a
Yeah.
deep level and you know
You
who
can
you
feel it in
are.
your heart,
Right.
that's the thing.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's
Right.
it's beautiful. It really is. And what's so neat is like what I said. We do know these things. We do know. We're just waking up. Everybody across, I'm talking about the whole wide world. This is going to happen across the whole wide world. All of us waking up
mhm.
and realizing who we are.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
And they, like it's always been about, I just saw a meme that's said it beautifully. Like they want us in our mind. They steer us away from our intuition because when you're not using your intuition, you're easy to manipulate.
Yeah.
And that's what this whole information war is about. They want everybody like externally grabbing onto all this information and second guessing and triple guessing everything and forgetting what their gut told them originally about any of the information. And
Yep.
and they're like, well, wait, what is this? What is this? What is that? That's in place to confuse you. That's what that is.
Mhm.
And ignore it if you have to. It doesn't
That's
matter.
what you have to walk away sometimes, and I've learned to do that. I've just some people want to just sit there and say negative, negative and see the worst case. And I just walk away
Right.
because everybody has to find their own way.
Right.
Not everybody picks up on this stuff as quick, but eventually they will. Eventually they will. They'll have to
Yeah.
because the world's going to keep going with or without them.
Right.
We're changing. The whole world's changing.
And a lot of the even the craziest conspiracy theories are turning out to be true. Like things that like cloning, let's just say, like that's so obvious now. Like it's even rappers, artists. I mean, everyone's talking about it. It's becoming like this crazy reality now.
Yeah.
But it was such a taboo thing a couple of years ago. And I think there's just a number of these things that people refuse to look at that are just going to become slowly integrated into our reality and things we have to accept. And it might not be the best thing, but it's understanding like everything is a lie, like you said. History is being
Yeah.
rewritten,
Like
basically.
the
Yes.
transhumanism agenda. I mean, for years, people would poo-poo that as like crazy conspiracy theory. Now you have the World Economic Forum literally out there telling everyone, "Hey, we're gonna edit your DNA and humans are hackable animals that we can now control and all this stuff." They're literally just out there saying it. They're not even trying to hide it anymore because, in my opinion,
Mhm.
they're that desperate. They're just throwing Hail Marys and trying
Right.
everything they can. But
They're on their last legs and they
they're on
know
their
it.
last legs, right?
Yeah.
They're on their way out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And they know it, and they're scared to death, and they're just
Yeah,
flailing.
because they like being in control and they want to stay in control as long as possible. Because here's another thing too, when I say they're lower rim, well, from what I've been told, and I believe everything they tell me, I promise you, I do. We have the capability of becoming interdimensional ourselves, even with our like tweaking of our DNA and stuff, and with their assistance, because they are billions of years ahead of us in every single way.
Mhm.
Our physics, our sciences do not apply. In these lower rim that are no longer part of the collective consciousness, they are stuck in
Yeah.
this galaxy. They cannot evolve any higher, and they will not receive any assistance from
well,
any of the interdimensionals.
that's why they feed off of us.
Which is why
Yes.
they're parasites, because they have to parasite off of someone or something else.
And they love
they're
the negative energy. They're
completely right. They love it. They're completely disconnected, and they're, like you said, they're stuck.
They
So that's
can't-
all they can do to survive. So they're hell bent on just
Yeah.
creating a slave system that they can just keep feeding off of and parasiting off of. And that's what
I have a saying, be so nice that the negative people can't stand you and they'll delete you.
Right.
So that
Right.
just makes it easy for me. I don't even have to do anything. They get so sick of my niceness, they leave.
They
Well,
leave
this is
on their own, right?
Yeah.
I saw this video. This guy, he's a professional troll for online, and I'm not joking. He had a whole room full of phones, iPads, computers, everything, and he would just go. He was like being interviewed, and he said he would go and negatively comment on all these posts and disagree with people just to feed off of the energy. And he explained it all in detail, like it was just so matter of fact. He's like, yeah, and he would sit there and say this horrible thing to this person who didn't even know this account just to start an argument. And he's just sitting there like loving it, like feeding off
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And like that's exactly what we're looking at here. Like
Exactly.
they're parasiting off of our consciousness and our energy, but it's not just like some of these trolls and some of these things that are in place. Like that guy, I mean, he has to have something working through him that's
Mhm.
needing that, because that's not a
And-
normal human desire, right?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. It's really weird, but I do know that what I've learned is that I have set a boundary around me, and regardless of what somebody says, sure, it may affect me, but I control my behavior, you know,
Mhm.
and keep my mouth shut and control my behavior because I'm not going to let them take my positive energy away because that's all they want is to attack your energy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I see it happening a lot.
And if you come down to their level, they got you now.
That's it.
That's
Right.
exactly what they want. You fall into the trap.
Yeah, you took the bait. You're all like
Took the bait.
stressed out, and they're over there just like bathing in your loosh, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
It's crazy.
So working for the Department of Defense, what was your experience with that? And did you, did you learn anything and discover anything about like the inner workings of our government and what their involvement is with all this?
I lived in Australia for like almost 5 years, a little over 4. And when I got back to the United States, I applied for a job with the Department of Defense, and I got hired, or I ended up going to Hawaii, and I went to Schofield Barracks. And before I got hired, though, I worked for 3 months for the American Red Cross as a volunteer at the dental clinic, which shooed me in to getting a direct hire from the commander himself of the Pacific Rim. But and I just did that all on my own. And now I look back, I realize I had help. The everywhere I went, I was having experiences and I was learning things in life. And so actually, I got hired because I was a dental assistant, but I did get exposed to some 3D imaging technology, which when I got back from my trip from Mexico was about the time when they had the Nazca mummies down at Mexico and stuff. So it helped me to understand about the 3D imaging that they did, that radiographs that they used in their hearings and things like that. So for me, I could care less about who was presenting what. I wanted to see the scientific, I wanted to see the x-rays.
Right.
Because with those type x-rays, you cannot lie. You can tell there's a different basic x-rays. You take it and you're getting a picture of the front of something or the back of something. But with 3D, the way that they do it, you like say a bone, rather than being the out or the backside, you're going from the inside and you're seeing the whole thing, ligaments, nerves, endings, things that you don't see on a normal x-ray. So for me, I think it was a way for me to learn about technology and reading x-rays. And I do have a worldwide radiology permit through the military. And so when they present these things and they're showing these x-rays up on screen, I can look at them and I know if they've been tampered or tinkered with. And so do these specialists that are looking at them too. So,
Right.
That's, everywhere I've ever lived, everything good or bad, and I've had bad things happen to me. I've experienced the whole human experience of good and bad. But I do feel like everything was instigated by the interdimensionals because I had to experience everything that's happened to me to become who I am today and to know myself, the inner me, not the outside me that the world around me created, but to know me, me and my purpose in life and where I'm going after I leave here and all these different things. So,
yeah.
And I'm a different person. There's no doubt. I'm a happier person, and I love being a human being, and I love the world around me, and I see the world differently and I see everything around me differently because I understand my connection. Before, I never knew I was connected to anything,
Right.
and I felt lost. I wasn't a happy person because I knew I was missing out on something. Part of me was not found. But now I know the whole me and everything, and I love it.
Well, it's like you're not fulfilled. It's unfulfilling. And I noticed that whenever I used to travel before I woke up and I would go on these vacations, these 3D, lazy vacations, right?
Yeah.
there was something missing. Like you're going to these beautiful parts of the world, but it was just there was something missing. I'm like, this isn't it. But now that now when I travel, we're going to these ancient sites and we're doing energy work and like replugging in the ley lines and I mean, whatever. Like there's just
Yeah.
such a fulfillment
It
in
it
my
opens your
purpose.
eyes and
Yeah.
you just really you see it,
I mean, it might seem so insignificant to somebody else, but when you're out there doing that work and just going to these sacred places and feeling that energy and being
Yeah.
activated and that energy exchange, it's like this is what I wanted to feel when I went to Mexico, not, not the all-inclusive resort,
Yeah.
the pre-packaged vacation. That's not a vacation to me,
No, no. But you were talking about how you sense the energy and stuff. That's the thing about extraterrestrials and interdimensionals. For me, it was never about what they look like. For me, it is the frequency exchange. We being human, we're on a very low frequency. So when we come in contact with an extraterrestrial or interdimensional, they're of a higher frequency. So I that difference is very, very strange, and your brain does not know what to do with it. You don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. So it took me a long time to get to understand it, what it is I was feeling, and that it was because I was a lower frequency and it felt so foreign and strange to me. But now I've learned and grown into it, and I am at a higher frequency because of them.
right?
They would rate, I guess over time, they've been raising my frequency to make me so aware of the world around me. But it's the same thing that you feel when you're around them. You will know what I'm talking about from being at these great places. You'll get that same energy off of them, and it's a beautiful thing.
What do you
Yeah.
think it is? And what do you think the reality of the situation is of human looking extraterrestrials among us walking around that we probably walk past at the mall or the grocery store? Do you think that is really happening? They're here among us in that capacity?
Yes, I've seen some. And the reason I know that it is because I can feel the frequency difference. And also, they have a way of blending in, and they can, for example, I'll just tell you, I was at a grocery store shopping and I noticed this guy, and I could tell he was totally dressed differently. He was totally stood out, not being a normal person in the area, but everybody around, nobody else noticed it like I did. And he was like 8 people behind me in the checkout line, but he managed to everybody in line let him go in front, and he got right up there with me because he knew who I was. I knew who he was, but he was able to, like, I guess telepathically, he was like, "Can I move up, please? Could I move up,
Mm,
please?" And they were like, "Oh, sure, go ahead." So yeah, they can blend in, but he was not doing anything wrong. They just wanted to experience the human experience. We're very fascinating creatures.
mhm.
We're very different. We have emotions. They don't.
Right.
Things are very different. So yeah, they'll come down and see what it's like.
What do you think the motive is behind them normalizing the UFOs right now in mainstream media? Like let's just take for instance the Super Bowl. I'm sure you probably didn't watch it, but my cousin sent me a text. He's like, I don't know if you're watching the game, but every commercial break they're showing aliens and UFOs, and he's like, and even he came to the conclusion, like he's like, I'm not into this, but it seems like they're trying to normalize it.
They
And
are.
and then there's an
Yeah.
app. I'm scrolling through X today, Twitter, and an ad pops up for a UFO app, and it's like a UFO tracker app, and it's just like they're putting it out there more than ever. But
Yeah. Then
what do you
Lou
think?
Elizondo, David Grush, Chris Mellon, all these guys talking about it. It's all over the media. Yeah.
Right.
This is the way I see it and the way I understand it. One, they are here. They've been here. They are here in great number, and they are like putting love energy all around our planet. They are helping humanity raise raise our consciousness to be better humans. and they are focusing in on it. And they are here. The government knows they are here. The problem is the government, because they've done dealings with these other ones, that what I call the negative, in the past, and because at one time they tried to do some exchange with governments, but the governments would not relinquish nuclear weapons. And as you know, they've come down here many, many times and turned these things off.
Mhm.
And they're not going to allow us to play around with stuff like that, because they don't want us to wipe ourselves out, but they love our planet and they love every little thing on it. And there's lots of indigenous people still here, so they're not going to allow that. So they are focused in, extraterrestrials, interdimensionals are focused in on humanity. They're approaching humanity, and we are at the point where they can, because we are all waking up.
Right.
So they don't have to go through government. They don't need the government. I
Right.
mean,
Right.
they don't need it.
Right, but do you think there's some kind of dark agenda going on that the media and the deep state is trying to like
They're
get
scared
ahead
to
of
death.
disclosure and like steer
They're
us in
scared to
a
death.
right?
Because they are billions of years ahead of us. There is nothing technology wise to even come close to what they have. And the government knows this, but the government does not want to be the first one to say, we have no control over these extraterrestrials, because that makes them look bad to other governments.
Then we're like, well, we're going to listen to those guys and not you.
Yeah. So
You're
they're all
obsolete
at
now.
a standoff.
Right.
And I think they're waiting on the James Webb telescope to find something. And then that will be the way that the government will say, well, yeah, James Webb, there's life on
Right.
Series, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And that they're hoping that it will happen that way, because nobody wants to take the lead, apparently, and nobody wants to answer to the 70 years of
Lies.
suppression and all the bad things were done.
Also
But
that.
the way that I look at that, a lot of things are going to surface and a lot of people are going to be crushed, shell shocked. It's not going to be nice. But overall, we are going to have to be a forgiving nation or nations, and realize that a lot of the people that made those mistakes and did the horrible deeds are no longer alive, and realize that it was something that humanity, I guess, had to experience to get us where we are today.
Right.
And to know that we're not going to repeat those horrible things that were done.
And I always said something I've realized, I should say, is that like all the suppression of technology and UFOs and the existence of ETs, all of it's ultimately assisted us and aided us and it forced us on our own awakening journey, like our own healing journey. Because now, like if all that stuff had been readily available for us, would we all be trying to heal at a soul level? No. We would just be nonchalantly going about, taking advantage of all this technology, probably in our ego, and there wouldn't be this awakening. Like it really forced us into an awakening. So maybe you're right. Maybe it had to happen. It was something.
It does, and these things happen. Everything that ever happens is done, and it's all done so that overall everybody will benefit the same, not just certain people. But we have to learn and look at our past mistakes, and that was part of our growth and part of how we're going to become the humans that changed the world. We're going to be the generation that made the change, and I think we'll go down in history as being the generation of disclosure, the generation that woke up and learned how to better serve humanity and future generations of humanity because of these things. And this is all of us are doing it. Every single one of us are a part of this, and we all, from everything in my heart knows, we all chose to be here at this time, and we're all a part of it. This is all of us waking up, and we're changing the world around us, and our world is changing, and she's going to work with us more and more because she's she's been waiting on us too,
Mhm.
our planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I agree.
Absolutely.
I agree. And I think I think you're right. Like we're all part of this shift. We are here to
Yes.
change it. And it's pretty, I mean, it doesn't seem like it, right? So we're just doing a podcast, right?
No,
And
you're doing more than that. You're
I know,
waking the world up.
but that's where I was going. Like it doesn't seem
Yeah.
like I'm just sitting here doing this every week. It's not doesn't take a whole lot of effort. It takes, it takes work, but it's amazing. But it's like it's a proof that you don't have to work as hard and you could still make such a difference, right? Uh, and it's really all about like what you're sharing and not how much or the quality of the content, but what you're actually sharing, the
Yeah.
information.
It all works together and it expands because of the truth of it and the goodness of it. It will expand and grow and grow and grow.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think you're right about the government. Like I think what they're doing right now with this UFO, like normalizing it, I think they're trying to get ahead of the narrative. They know it's coming, right? From all
Yeah.
these, they know, and they're
Yeah.
scared of it. But if they can get if they could get the story, they could get a hold of the story and tell you this is what's happening. It's before they can tell us, before the interdimensionals
Mhm.
can tell us or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's not going to work. It's obviously they're literally delusional. I mean,
Yeah.
sociopath, delusional.
Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that it's kind of like the story got too big and they don't know how to go backwards and try to fix it all.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense to you. There's so much damage,
Right.
you know.
Well, in the Sands of Times books, the Sean David Morton books, it's 40 years in a shadow government. It's an inside story
amazing,
and
amazing books.
amazing.
Yeah. So
But
good.
one of the things they talk about, it starts from the 40s and comes all the way current, but they're talking about a time when before the internet, and they're having conversations about how much harder their job is going to become once the internet hits the scene. This was back then, obviously, because they had it pretty much wrapped up. They knew how to keep it secret, and
Yeah.
they knew how to control their disinformation programs and all that stuff. But the
Mhm.
internet, like they still, even when the internet came out, they still, they could play whack-a-mole and they could keep it under control. But now they can't. Now
No,
they
they
can't.
can't.
Now they don't.
Mhm.
It can't move fast enough. And
They're still trying.
yeah, they're still
Yeah.
trying.
They're still deleting
Yeah.
YouTube channels and Facebook profiles and
Well,
Right.
there's no question in my mind. Disclosure is going to continue, and it doesn't matter what these governments do. It's happening. It's happening all around us. Anybody can see it, and they know it, or we wouldn't be seeing it on the
Right.
football game commercials 8 times.
Right.
right. Right.
Yeah. And obviously, like you
So
said,
many more people are open to it now and curious about it than ever before. Like you said, like 50 years ago, you could hardly talk to anyone about this without being either ridiculed, laughed at, or told it's demonic or just not interested, just plain not interested. Well,
Yeah.
now all these people are suddenly interested. They're like, wait a second, there's something to this. They're starting to pay attention. They're starting to get curious and interested because they know it's real. They know that it's real. Like we're waking up. We know that
Yeah.
Right.
it's real. There's something to it, and it's very important. If not the most important thing,
It
it's
is
like
important.
there's life here that's from elsewhere. Like that's the most important. Come
It
on.
is. And we are very lucky to be alive at this time and experiencing this. It's amazing to me. It's
Right.
amazing.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
It is.
It is amazing, and but what's also interesting and concerning because we see a lot of the pushback from the other side right now, and the open satanic rituals, and like it's in your face, and it's like they're trying to recruit as many people as they can under their team because they know the split's occurring. But one thing I notice about this satanic information is there's information out there now that claims that all ETs, all the ascended masters, anything organic that we thought was organic was all created by the Satanists and it's not real. Don't believe it. Read your Bible. The end.
Or it's all demons, or
It's
it's all
all
Yeah.
demonic and evil.
So-
Yeah. Yeah.
and people
Yeah.
out there, smart
Hmm,
people
how
are
does that work?
pushing this. They're like they're like the Syrians, the Pleiadians, the Arcturians, the Andromedans. That's all demons. They're all created by the Satanist. Here's the paperwork dating back to whatever year. It shows how they created it. I'm like, if
They
there's
have the
ever if there's
proof.
if there's ever a psyop or or an example of disinformation, that's it. Because wouldn't they love for us to believe that they're responsible for all of it?
Yeah.
They would love to, they would love, those Satanists would love for us to believe that they created the Andromedans, they created the Syrians, the Pleiadians, the Ascended Masters. They're so powerful. And then when
Right.
people believe that they did create all that stuff, they're only giving them that much more power. It's like, how do you
Right. They
not
would
see it? Yeah.
they love for you to believe that, right? Like you said, that's yeah, exactly. And they love for you to believe that that the cabal, the Illuminati, whatever you want to call it, is this all powerful group that can do anything and you have no power. It's the exact opposite. We're the ones with the power.
Oh,
We're the
we
ones
are.
giving them, we're the ones
And
giving them that.
when we unite,
Right.
oh, there is
Game
no stopping us.
over.
Game over.
Right.
Right. Exactly.
And that's what I've been told, and that's what I say it, and I've seen visions of it. It's there's no stopping us.
And this reminds me of something. So the solar eclipse is coming up,
Yeah.
and they're already predicting historical cloud coverage on the day of the eclipse, like months in advance. Like they're putting it out there already, but that obviously we know they plan on spraying that day for whatever reason. But I'm like, okay, what if we just did some type of mass meditation and cleared the cloud coverage or cleared whatever aerosol they're spraying, and just, set the intention, like anybody listening to this right now, maybe we could do some sort of meditation, or just even like once a week, we can do something up until that point just to see if we can get a sunny day,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. It'd be interesting to try.
Yeah.
Well, there's have you heard of the Maharishi effect? That's been proven, where what was it, like 7,000 people all meditated for world peace, and at the exact time they meditated, it was the statistics of crime went down by like 75%. All these things went down by 75%, and they proved that it couldn't have been like any other factor other than that.
Oh,
And
I
that's not,
believe that.
and that's been proven over and over and over again, like scientifically. This is
Right.
real. Like we affect, we're all one, like you said, we're all connected.
Yeah.
And our consciousness affects everything else outside.
And also when extraterrestrials, when we start, the higher we reach, we vibrate and give off a frequency, and it vibrates around the whole planet, and they see this. And when they see this, they will help us, because that's all they're waiting on. That's all they want.
Exactly. They know we have the power within us.
Yeah.
We've just been manipulated. And the second we wake up, it's game over. They know that, and they're supporting us from the sidelines, so to speak. And they're making sure we're not going to wipe ourselves out, or no one else is going to wipe us out of the planet. But they're like, you guys, you're doing it. Come on, like keep going.
They're on the sidelines.
Well,
exactly.
They know people are going to get sick of working their 40-hour job and paying tax. The people are going to have enough. Like they're going to hit a boiling point. It's just going to happen.
Well, we shouldn't be living like that, and those things can change. And again, not overnight, but we should be. If we do technology right, technology can do a lot of our work, and it will benefit everybody, and then we can enjoy being anywhere from being in our young childhood to young seniors to older seniors, and not have to worry about all these, having a social security number, paying taxes, and all these things, because there is no such thing as time with interdimensionals and extraterrestrials. There is no such thing as currency. Everything that we ever needed is here on Earth. We don't need pharmaceutical companies. Every plant, there's plants here to cure everything, and either they're sitting on it, which I think they are, and they are manipulating us to keep us, because they can't make money off of healthy, and intelligent human beings. So to keep us dumb and sick and dying, and we don't even get to enjoy being, by the time we retire, most people are disabled or sick.
It's spending 80% of our time working a job that we hate just to make ends meet and survive.
That's not how we were designed, and that's not the future for humanity at all.
Right.
And it won't happen overnight, but we will change into these things.
Right. That whole retirement, it's a retirement trap. It's not a retirement.
It is.
It's not a plan. It's a trap.
It's a trap, right?
We will finally have our freedom.
Yeah.
We've never had our total freedom.
Well,
right.
Yeah. Think about what the retirement plan does to somebody. It's like man, if I work so many hours this year
Yes.
and I work and if I work so hard now and when I'm 55, they just moved the
60,
retirement age to 70 now. They
70.
moved
Yeah.
they moved it to 70. So once I'm 70, I
The
can
last
finally
10 to
relax.
15 years of my life, I can actually enjoy. Yeah.
It's like, well, what if you just live your life right now? Look, why don't we
Right.
start thinking that way? Like, why let's
Right.
travel now and do all this stuff now while we're young. And I started doing that. I quit my job in 2019 with no plan. And the universe took the wheel, and all these opportunities showed up that I would have never even imagined. And I'm here doing it, and I don't even know how it's possible. Like
Yeah.
the way I live my life shouldn't be possible, but I'm doing it, and it's
Right.
amazing because
Yeah.
I made that leap of faith. Like it's a real thing.
It is real. And that's the way of the future is we need to be enjoying our life. Our lifetimes are very, very short compared to any other beings, and they want to help us with that. We
Right.
can
Yeah.
live longer and we can live it without all these diseases, without wars, live and
We're,
happiness,
we're supposed to be living way longer. We're designed to
Yeah.
live
Yes.
Right.
hundreds and
And
hundreds of years,
we
not
do not need
75.
pharmaceutical companies and we do not need
Mhm.
oil fields and all this stuff. I mean,
No.
we have all these things are here, but they've been suppressed and kept from us
Right.
to make us manipulated and dependent upon them. So
Yep.
when I say them, I
Exactly.
mean the bad guys. Yeah.
Right. Right.
And you mentioned
Exactly.
like they're just all like they're kind of waiting for us. They're just kind of
Yeah.
waiting for, and that's what happened with me when I'm only going to share the story because it helped. I've noticed every time I share it, it's helpful. People enjoy it.
Yeah.
So when I quit my job, like when I knew like every day it was just sucking my soul. Like it was really a soul sucking job, and I wanted to quit, but I didn't know how. I didn't know how I was going to make ends meet. I just didn't know. And like all these synchronicities kept showing up until one day it was hilarious. Like so many synchronicities. Like, okay, this is the final sign. If I don't do something now, then I'm never going to do it, right? And I made the decision right there in the middle of the day at work. I was in construction, and I made the decision in the middle of the day. I'm quitting, and I literally text my boss. I was like, "Hey, can we meet for lunch?" And I want to talk. And he's like, "Well, why don't you just tell me now?" And I knew I was gonna just tell him. I was just gonna call him and tell him I quit. I had made a decision. It was so solidified in my mind. And as soon as I made that decision, I got this vision. I was never expecting this in a million years. I got this vision of like my guides basically standing around like a crystal ball, you could say,
Yep.
watching me. And they were celebrating like somebody just won the Super Bowl. Like
Yeah.
they were like, oh my God. Like I can imagine them up there be like, oh my God, is he doing it? Oh my God, finally, holy shit, he's doing it. And
Yeah.
just like jumping up and they were hugging each other and they just showered me with this like blissful love energy that I can't even describe. There's nothing to compare it to. And I broke down in tears on the job site. And luckily there was like a bathroom to hide in because, you're not
Yeah.
crying in a construction site.
Yeah.
And so I'm like bawling my eyes out because I saw this vision and they just showered me with all this love to let me know that it was okay. And like, yes, this is the right decision. And I made the phone call and it was so easy and I quit. And like
That's amazing.
a couple days later, this amazing opportunity showed up that I would have had to say no to had I had a job, but I didn't,
Right.
and it was just a whole beautiful journey.
And you've been fine ever since without
Yes.
that job.
Sometimes it's just simply a leap of faith and trusting in yourself,
Mhm. Right.
Yeah. It's an amazing story. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not telling everyone to just go quit your job. Like,
No,
because
no.
we're not all in a position that
Well,
I happen to luckily be in a position where I could.
yeah.
And, you know,
Trust the
Yeah.
universe. If that's what you've been
I
if
think
you're
that's a good
led
way
to
to put it.
do, then do it. But do it in a way that is
Yeah.
the right path for you. Right.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, Nancy, this has been a beautiful
I know, I
conversation.
love it. I could talk forever.
Right. This
Same.
has been absolutely wonderful. Will you please let our audience know where they can find you? If you have anything to offer, please share that now.
Yeah. My website is timefordisclosure.com. And then I have Facebook group. And I belong to a lot of different groups. I belong to a lot. And promote all of them, because they're all great. And I think they all work together. We're all working together to help humanity reach higher consciousness and for us to be better human beings. And we like to keep trolls out of the room. So we all, want to keep good, positive energy. So, my Facebook group is Time for Disclosure. We've never been alone, and we are the disclosure. And I truly believe we all are the disclosure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
We are.
Yeah.
We are. I mean, we've been disclosing this stuff every week for 5 years now, and that's how it happens. People aren't
That's
going to learn
right.
from the TV, So, thank you so
Right.
much. This has been a lot of
Thank
fun,
you.
and we just want to
Thank
remind
you.
everyone listening to us, for one, thank you all for the support and everything
Yes.
since we've moved over to Rumble, and all the new people who jumped on our Patreon. We cannot thank you enough for all the overwhelming support. And if you feel compelled to join us at our conference in May 13th through the 16th in Grafton, Illinois, rebelsofdisclosure.com. Those tickets are still available. That link is below, and we'd love to see you there. And don't forget, our Q Operation webinar is this Sunday at 4 Central, 5 Eastern. And that will be Patreon exclusive. So it's only $5 to sign up, but it is interactive, and there's a chat you can join. And we're really excited to share everything we've learned and found and rediscovered. It's been a lot of fun diving back into that information. And I think you guys will be really happy with what we put together. So is there any last words from either of you guys before we wrap this up?
No,
Peace
just thank
on
you.
earth.
Yes. Thank you so much, Nancy. You're an inspiration. Thank you so much for
Thank you
joining
so
us.
much for having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We love you all. Good night and have a great evening. Hey guys, Journey to Truth is going to Hawaii. Join us in 2026 for Journey to Truth's first ever vacation conference on the Big Island at the beautiful Queen Emma Community Center in Kona. Enjoy Hawaii as we travel to sacred sites and connect with our Lemurian past and reactivate the land. It's time to get our bodies moving and take a boots on the ground approach to the awakening. We'll also be making a trip to Volcano National Park to pay our respect to Pele, the goddess of fire. We'll then journey to the water for an ocean adventure with our multi-dimensional aquatic family. We'll gear up and head to the harbor as we set sail under the sun for an activating day on the water while we experience the Hawaiian ocean life like never before. Enjoy Hawaiian sunsets and walks on the beach while connecting with soul family and learning a few things from our amazing lineup of speakers. Aloha! Grab your ticket today at journeytotruth.online and join us for this once-in-a-lifetime activating getaway.